There's been a big rise in the number of people living and working on London's canals and rivers in recent years, many of whom don't have a permanent mooring. But they could be about to face some big changes after a review was launched into boat licences. And some people are worried it could be an end to their way of life, as Anna O'Neill reports.
I bought this boat when it was just a steel shell, and that was about 8 years ago, and then I've been living on it ever since.
It's not called a narrow boat for nothing, but a tight squeeze is part and parcel of the river dweller lifestyle.
I couldn't see any other way of living now.
Alan works as a community mental health nurse and says he can't afford to buy or rent a flat.
I just wouldn't be able to do this job. I wouldn't be able to live in London. I would have to be elsewhere.
SJ is in a similar position.
3.5, 4 years ago, I couldn't afford to live in London anymore, and this is where I grew up, and that's not fair.
Both Alan and SJ are what's known as continuous cruisers, boat dwellers without a permanent mooring who are required to move location every 14 days.
We pay a licence, which isn't really the equivalent to rent, it's more the equivalent to, say, council tax. And that licence basically pays for all of our facilities and our ability to be on the water. And all boats pay a licence to the Canal and River Trust. And for this boat, it's about £1,600 a year.
With more people now living on the waterways as a cheaper alternative to renting or buying, the Canal and River Trust believes the current 30-year-old legislation may not be up to date, and it wants those on and around the water to take part in this review.
London's waterways have certainly seen some big changes over the last 30 years. The number of boats has doubled. We've seen more people choosing to live on the waterways. We've seen lots of different interesting businesses on the waterways. So that's all positive and has really brought the canals of London to life. But it also brings challenges in how you manage large numbers of boats in confined spaces, how you make sure it's fair for everybody who wants to use the waterways.
Alan fears it might force boat dwellers like him to try to find a permanent and therefore much more costly mooring, which in London are few and far between.
To force boats out of continuous cruising in London means to force boats out of London completely.
The Canal and River Trust stresses nothing has been decided and they'll wait for the outcome of the review expected in the autumn. Anna O'Neill, BBC London.